All right, good morning, folks. All right, today the YouTube broadcast is going to end at exactly 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. When after that point, I'll be jumping into the live broadcast for the trading room, which will start today. So for those of you who are in the funding program, you'll be starting to use the software, etc., on Monday or today. So looking forward to that. Good morning, Bruce. Sorry, I'm trying to figure something out on the other side here. That's weird. All right. I was just checking something on the other end. All right. Anyway, doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and review what we found on Friday. All right, so we had several stocks that showed up on the radar on Friday, of course. Let's go through them one by one, at least the ones that I put in front of you guys before the open or just after the open. All right, in order of performance, let's just start from the top. We have MGNI. That was our best performer on Friday. So let's pull that up. All right, so this is MGNI. Clearly a very strong performance. This day was the 10th, and this is the 11th. So 2 days in a row. This has been our list, and 2 days in a row it's been a stellar performer. All right. Now, sorry, give me 1 second. I still don't know why. I was having an issue with let's see, create channel. All right, sorry, I'm trying to figure out something on YouTube which is not working correctly, but I'll look it up later. Okay. All right. Why can't I control my... Sorry, I'm just trying to figure something out here. All right, that's weird. I was just trying to see why I can't moderate chat anymore. Okay, well, anyway, I'll have to figure that out later. So MG&I was the best performer. According to the numbers, it went up 24.3% from the opening bell. So that was obviously a good move. This one, you just had to catch it right at the open. Technically, there was a second chance over here, somewhere around the middle of the day. But again, the later you get in, the harder it's going to be to win. I'm looking for a pullback that brings the stock very close to the volume weighted average price. I'm looking for the volatility to collapse and then to see the trend resume. So up here would not be what I'd be looking for as a secondary, a potential new entry point, because once the stock's on a really large move, and you're at the extreme edge of the volume weighted average price range, that's going to make it very difficult to pinpoint a good place to get in. Trying to get in when things slow down, and basically that did happen here and here. So I would say unquestionably the opening of the day, which I did point out, was where we should watch MG&I. It looked like it was possibly going to go up, and it did eventually, right? So it did eventually break away after opening slightly lower. So that was our best performer. Next up, we got apps, APPS. Apps also had a similar manner of behavior on Friday. Started off lower here and then immediately starts to recover after it already had a good move on the 9th. So it didn't do much on the 10th, but it did have a very nice move on the 11th. So start off from below. As it's going up, that's your time to get in. Technically, you kind of had a second chance here. I say kind of because it wasn't the best second entry point, but it was reasonable because we were just coming back into a range we had already well established days before. So in other words, there wasn't much doubt where the market was comfortable. If I draw a box here, it's pretty obvious that in this area, trading was fairly relaxed and calm and cool, didn't do much. So on the rebound from the lows, that was great. That would be your best place to get in as it started to go up at the beginning of the day. Good morning. And then the second pullback that started to bounce back up, that was also a decent entry point. After that point, we really didn't have any other entry points. I mean, this thing was just skipping along very calmly at the top of the first standard deviation for the VWAP. This is the VWAP on a 5-minute setting, looking back 21 periods, which is the standard setting I'm going to use to do overall analysis. So yeah, that one was pretty smooth. Didn't really have much after the first 45 minutes or so of the day. That was pretty much all you had. Now, technically, you could have taken an entry here. I just wouldn't do it myself because even though it's nice, it's going nice and smooth here. If I'd already missed this part, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I would be willing to take a small chance here, but you would have to reduce the trade size only because it did go flat for quite a while. That one looked like a reasonable bet that if I got in here as it starts to pull away, if I'm wrong, it just goes back to where it just was. No big deal. But if I'm right, it could keep going. But again, earlier the better. We want to try to get into things early as possible. So if anyone took a stab at this later in the day, I would say it's reasonable. Wouldn't be what I'm looking for, but it's still reasonable. Okay. So apps, another good day. Okay, our third place is MTTR, and this one was not the easiest to trade at all, but this is it. So there's the 11th. The first part of the session, it moved very strongly, so if you didn't catch it there, the only time you had a second chance was right in here. When it started to consolidate, go sideways, and then it starts to move up again, roughly at 10:45 Central, 11:45 Eastern. So that was your second chance. And after that, didn't really do that much. It went up some more, but only about, I don't know, 20 cents more than where it was then. Then it fully collapsed. So the best chance was obviously here. I would not take this pullback and rebound there because there's still a lot of range of movement going on at that period of time. So it's not that you couldn't win or you couldn't do anything, but this is an area I tend not to want to get in when I see a large degree of volatility, which is what the standard deviations are projecting. Not really the best time to get in. So other than here, your best option was to try to get in at the open, which again wasn't that easy. There was a lot of volatility, a lot of range, but that was the only place that was possible. Okay. Now on the other stocks, EBIX, it did go up, but not by much. This one had a really good move on the 9th, but on the 11th, we barely did anything. We moved up at the open. We sold off pretty sharply. We recovered here. Not really a hot performer, so obviously if you were looking at the list that I gave you, you would be seeing MGNI and apps first, MTTR third, or second, I should say, and then the rest maybe. So no strong performers there, as far as I can tell. So yeah, that was that. Okay. So in short, didn't really get a lot on this particular stock. It did move up, but wasn't looking that determined to go up. Okay, so if you did get something in this, I'm guessing it was after the pullback here, and then it starts to recover in this area. That would be pretty much your only good chance of getting into a trade, other than at the open, which wasn't that good. Right, so, and then it topped out 24.40. So maybe you walk away with just over $1 potential gain, but not the best one. All right, what's next? PSNY was our next one. This one came out after the opening bell. I'm Mike, but good morning, Chris. So, unless Mo's in there. So, we gapped higher. This one went back and forth, didn't really go anywhere, and then nice pullback. This one I would be willing to try the pullback since it happened early, and it's just below the low of the first 5 minutes, which of course you guys know is an area where I look for entries. So the pullback there was fairly decent. Then it pulls back up. So this one was doable if you caught it on a pullback, which would have been the most likely thing you would have gotten. But it was kind of a mixed bag at the open. So, you basically would try to average, between $5.46 at the highest point down to maybe $5 at the lowest point. So you have some average entry between those 2 points. The pullback brings us back up to $5.77. So maybe about a 50 cents gain potential there if you average down. You're not going to average all the way down, of course. You guys know that, but you average part of the way. And then see where it goes. In this case, it just went to here, and then that was it. You had a second... no problem. The sideways action here leading to a breakout at the end. This is towards the later end of the day, not something I would do at all. So by that time, you should have already walked away with something else, some other entry that worked out. So if you were still in it for some reason, which you shouldn't have been, this was your last run up, and then after that, that was it. So this one at the open, not the easiest entry, but it does fit the general rule of what I was saying, that you expect things to consolidate at the start, so you try to average in with an entry towards the upper part as it starts to move up. Then as it starts to move down, you're waiting for the low, which appears in the first 5 minutes. Then you try to average your second entry somewhere down here. And then you wait and see what happens. So second entry never would have gotten hit. Would just stay with the first one. You go up. If you could average down, if you picked a slightly higher second entry, then you would have averaged a little higher. But that's if you did. So this one, again, tougher case, but tradable at the open. The classic open higher, gap up, sell off, then go back up pattern. And then after that, it just kind of died off. Okay. Last is PDD, which did not perform well. So PDD starts off, looks like it's trying to go somewhere, does everything, pull back, but didn't really pull back that far and then just fell apart. So for this one, although it was on the radar, it didn't actually play out much. Since this is a higher price stock too, you kind of, usually the higher the price of the stock is, you don't expect them to move as much. So in this case, the fact that it didn't, sorry, my head's like tilted. The fact that it did not go that far doesn't surprise me. Larger, higher price stocks usually don't move as far. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's just take a quick peek at some of the stocks that were moving on Friday. And let's just see who was doing what. All right, one of the bigger movers on Monday was this guy. Now, of course, we watch HUDI. I know you can't really tell that it moved a lot on this screen, but if I zoom in, then you can see it. Here it is. So on the 11th, we sold off at first at the open. Goes sideways, doesn't really do much, then suddenly breaks out over here. That breakout was definitely something that if you saw it happen, that was something you should be thinking about, because that's a very, very good breakout. Especially coming from a long period of consolidation, sudden increase in volume, sudden spike in price, moving the stock up from 841 up to over 1082. So, of course, I've mentioned this stock many times. We've watched it. The stock spiked up. Remember, just in case anyone doesn't remember, this is the stock that went from like $20 up to $192.88 on the 4th of this month, after a few days of rallying. So it does have that potential, but right now it's been pretty calm. But it does look like this is going to attempt a second go at that sort of rally. I'm not saying that it's going to get to $200 a share. I'm just saying it looks like it's trying to rebound and start the process again. Now, here's why I say that. Go to a daily chart, and let's go over 1 month. You can see what I'm referring to. So you see here you have the spike, you have the sell-off, and then it starts to move in the other direction. But gradually at first, and then bam, you get a big explosion. Looks like we're seeing the same pattern. We're coming down. This one was a huge gap down. We're coming down. Then looks like suddenly we're finding support. Very big increase in volume here. So this one I have to put on the radar, because this does appear that you might have some people ready to push the stock again. Okay. This does appear very clearly to me that this looks like some people are trying to set up another move. So if that's the case, we want that to be on our radar. So this one came out of nowhere. Of course, we weren't broadcasting at that time, although today, if that were to happen, I would be. So that'll make it easier for us to find, locate. So yeah, that one. Yes, it is. are you? If you're logged in right now, I'm logged in. I'm just not broadcasting until 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. So I am here. Um, Let me just type that out so you guys see that. Okay, so I'm there. Once I jump off of this, every morning on YouTube we do a pre-market pulse, so anyone can join that. But then starting at 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern, then I'm hopping over to the the coaching room. Okay. All right. So just moving along. So Hudai, however you pronounce it, is on the radar for today. Let's see. Let's keep going down the list. Looks like Mobileye was pretty active. MBLY. Let's take a look at that one. All right, so MBLI was very active on the 11th. Chris, that you should have gotten an email about that. If not, I would just call or ask the help desk. They can walk you through how to get in there. But it's Webinado, so you just need a link. As assuming that you're set up for that. So just talk. I will just ask the help desk, and they'd be able to walk you through that. So Mobileye was not very active at the opening bell. It basically was going neutral at first, and then at the end of the day, around the same time as Hudai, you had a big spike here, sell off, then another big spike towards the end of the day. Then the one at the end of the day, most likely I would not have been looking for that. It did happen in the last hour, and I will be broadcasting on the last hour. So basically from for the coaching room, basically from 8 o'clock my time to 10:30 my time, and then after that, from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Okay, so basically after 10:30 I'll be logging off, and then from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So this one would have showed up during that time frame. That's at 2:10 my time. So this one I definitely would have noticed, at least based on the way it was moving. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Sorry, I just had to do something on my mobile. All right, so this one, the first move here, that would have came out early in the session, no problem there. This one would have been the better one, but Mobileye, I don't know if I want to put this on the radar. I don't really see this movement here. While it's interesting, doesn't really look like it's something that's repeating anytime soon. So we'll see. Bed Bath & Beyond is falling hard right now. Hold on. Got some news on Bed Bath & Beyond. It's falling sharply right now. Bed Bath & Beyond today announced that it has entered into privately negotiated exchange agreements with several existing institutional holders of its 3.749% senior unsecured notes due 2024. Okay, this is a long list of notes. But anyway, the existing holders collectively exchanged approximately $69 million aggregate principal amount of 2024 notes. The transaction is expected to close on November 16th, 2022. Subject to customary closing conditions, the transaction is exempt from registration under Section 4A Building on our bond, the CEO says, building on our bond exchange transaction from last week, we are pleased to announce additional progress towards greater financial flexibility, further reduction of our long-term debt, yada, yada, yada. All right, so whatever the case may be, the stock is moving down because of that, apparently. But that's it. So Bed Bath & Beyond might move at the open, but lately it hasn't been moving a lot, so I'll skip that one. And let's see what else we got. That's pretty much it. All right, I got a few more stocks here that we're going to go over. But I'll save those for discussion in the coaching room. We got some pretty big movers, actually, that showed up on Friday. So let's go over those in a little bit. All right, so folks, as far as today goes, let me just look at what's coming up. We got the NASDAQ fairly flat pre-market. Let me go to Forex Factory for a second. Monday we've got FOMC member Brainard speaking. All right, so this today should be fairly calm as far as economic data goes. I don't see anything big coming up. Yeah, so far, doesn't look like much is going on this morning. All right, guys, so for the opening bell, just keep an eye on the stocks mentioned. Now, we still will be watching some of the other stocks that were brought up the previous days. Obviously, MGNI and apps. I have to look at what they're doing pre-market. Oops, did I change that? There it is. There's my hot list. Okay, so I do see a few stocks that look like they're interesting right now. And so let me hop over into the webinato and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to sign off here for YouTube for this morning, guys. I'm in Central Time. So it's from Eastern Time, it'll be from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. And then from, I'll just write it down. All right. All right, folks. I'll see everyone in just a moment in the coaching room, and then we will go from there. All right, YouTube. See you guys tomorrow morning.